Good evening. I'm Bob Mascali, Chairman of the Falmouth Select Board.
Hello, I'm Mike Renshaw, your town manager.
And we are here thanks to the service of FCTV. We always appreciate their giving us the studio and the opportunity to present this report. So, good evening. So, Mike, a lot has happened since the last time we did a show. There was some scheduling issues. We had Martin Luther King celebration day, and we weren't able to meet on that day. So
we had winter storm first.
And winter storm that caused a little bit of a delay as well. So, but back in January, on January 5th, we had a select board meeting. We had it at the Senior Center. And you want to just talk a little bit about what our plans are going forward for meetings?
Sure. Going forward, the regular meetings location for select board is going to be at the Senior Center. And we did that for a couple of reasons, Bob. Oftentimes, we found the select board meeting room at Town Hall was just a little bit too small, depending upon the agenda topics and whatnot. So we wanted to make sure that we had ample space for everybody to participate in the meetings. And also some of the audio video. We had a new monitor system put in, new camera system, I should say. So everything is, I think, kind of state of the art over at the Senior Center. So we wanted to take advantage and leverage that.
Okay, well, very good. So I guess one of the items that at that meeting and something that's been very important is solar and solar installation. And I think we agreed to allow solar at the Gus Canty Center. You want to talk a little bit about that?
We did.
And what it brings to us?
So Stephanie Madsen, our sustainability specialist extraordinaire, Stephanie's been doing a great job, did an inventory, researched just about, well, every town facility to make sure we weren't missing any opportunity for rooftop solar mounts. Gus Canty is probably one of the final candidates for the rooftop solar mount. It's a relatively small array, but it's going to do a tremendous amount in terms of reducing our energy costs over the term of the agreement. So we're really excited about it. With the select board approving that moving forward, we're hoping to get those panels installed pretty quickly and get it hooked up.
But for most of the rest of our town buildings, the roofs probably won't necessarily accommodate solar going forward.
That's correct, and as you know, and most folks know, the structural integrity of the roof had to be constructed at a certain point. Nowadays, because of the stretch code, all buildings have to be solar ready, or at least able to put solar panels. But back in previous days, that wasn't the case. So I think Gus Canty is probably one of the last examples of town facilities that we're going to be able to do that. Now we're also talking about some parking lot canopies, and perhaps looking at that route as well. But Gus Canty is an exciting project, and we're looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it, and we appreciate all that Stephanie has done.
Definitely.
She has been an absolute wonder here for the town the past 2 years that she's been here. And here we have in town this provision called the flow neutral law, and on January 5th we dealt with an application actually right across the street from the FCTV studios here, the dentist's office, and in a very innovative and interesting project. They want to expand and actually have 20 apartments as part of the property over there. The board looked at it, granted a variance from the flow neutral requirements because it would be on the sewer, but it's going to be generating some excess flow. But in order to justify the variance, one of the listed justifications is to provide affordable housing.
Correct.
So it's a really great project. As we go forward, I think the select board will be dealing more and more with some of these requests. There's only so much capacity, and that's something that our superintendent will keep us advised of, so that we're not going too far ahead.
And that's part of that evaluation review process. The wastewater superintendent takes a look, and also the Board of Health has to weigh in too in regards to the site. Is the site able to accommodate a Title V septic system on the site without variances? So that's another. There's two elements that have to, two boxes that have to be checked.
But this one checked both boxes,
it did.
And it looks like a really
great project.
Interesting project. So, and then, Mike, we started talking a little bit about the 2027 budget, and lo and behold, we found some excess capacity. Why don't you
Sure.
let us know about that?
Sure. So the budget process, the first presentation was way back in December 1st. There were probably 3 presentations after that. It was mid-December, I should say. Mid-December, the finance director reported that our new growth figures, estimated value based upon new growth, remodels and new construction, came in significantly higher than what we projected, about $530,000 higher than what we projected. The proposed budget, FY27 budget that we submitted to Select Board for review, and the board ultimately transmitted to the FinCom, was relying on the use of $1.2 million of the $1.5 million excess levy capacity. Don't want to get too much into the detail about the levy capacity. However, it allowed the Select Board to be in a position which actually this last meeting, there was some decisions made with regards to how that new growth revenue would be utilized. So in effect, what the Select Board decided last night, on January 28th, was to apply the $500,000 roughly, $400,000 of that to be allocated towards capital and debt stabilization fund to kind of hedge our investments and risk of spikes in cost and whatnot over time for capital projects. And about $14,000 or $15,000 of the 530 was to be allocated towards adding some additional hours to the bilingual human services counselor. So we're really excited about that as well.
That's a great improvement. But a little bit of talk, Mike, about the debt and capital stabilization fund. How much is in there now, and when do we draw upon it? And
Sure. Right now, the current balance of capital and debt stabilization is a little over $17 million. Select Board has a fiscal policy where we have to maintain certain levels, and we're well above that kind of minimum threshold level. So what we do is we utilize the capital and debt stabilization as a kind of a pressure relief valve. If there's spikes and whatnot in some of our borrowing efforts or initiatives, or we have a capital project that we need some revenue to make an acquisition, we can rely on capital and debt stabilization for that purpose. So it's a special fund, unique fund that has been created to allow us to kind of, again, be a little bit more flexible and nimble, if you will, with regards to capital projects and how we finance and fund those capital projects.
So when we were first faced with this newfound money, if you will, in practical terms, you had supplied us with what were some recommendations that came out of the department heads that you had to cut about $2 million. Maybe just talk a little bit about the process of how that all happens, how you go through it, how you have to cut it. I mean, as I said last night, I think we have to take a hard look at a lot of the proposals that didn't make it, because those are pretty important to the continuation of the services we're able to give the residents.
Sure, and they are. So each year, in preparation for delivering the proposed fiscal year budget to the Select Board, and then ultimately to the Finance Committee, and then ultimately to town meeting, typically in September, October, we have a series of meetings with the department heads, myself, the assistant town manager, and the finance director, kind of one-on-one. And the department heads each have an opportunity to kind of pitch their argument, if you will, for upcoming needs in the upcoming fiscal year. The majority, 90%, 85 to 90% of that $2 million that was not recommended for funding in the FY27 budget was personnel cost, additional personnel requests. Tough decisions had to be made. We've been really aggressive over the past few years with salaries and wages, compensation, recognizing that to be more competitive on the Cape, we had to offer higher salaries, quite honestly. So we're in a really great position now to do that. Most departments are fully staffed. We've got some vacancies that we're working off of, but for the most part, we're doing well for staffing. But with that, as you add additional personnel, those costs continue to kind of escalate. Each year, they compound, healthcare benefits rising. So the decisions were made not to fund about $2 million primarily in personnel. And the Select Board had a look at that list, and we had some discussions back and forth about the pros and cons and merits of adding certain positions over others. I think, Bob, going forward, those discussions, certainly going forward, are going to have to involve a lot more collaboration and discussions with Select Board, with the Finance Committee, so that everybody's understanding. Because it's a balancing act, quite honestly, between recognizing the need for additional services or new services, enhancing services, and again, that kind of compounding long-term cost to the.
And that was the concern that was raised by a number of members of the Select Board, that it would just increase the cost. But again, at some point in time, we're going to have to think about necessary staff and
Correct.
and what the results of that are. So I compliment my colleagues on the Select Board for focusing on the more immediate need, which is to beef up the stabilization fund a little bit, and we'll work with you and the FinCom going forward to try and get those services that we absolutely need, those personnel services.
That dialogue is going to be really important, that collaboration.
And then, not really part of our meeting, but I just want to touch upon the community forum that we held on January 22nd at the Service Center, where we talked about ICE and its policies. We heard from a number of business owners and clergy and people who are daily impacted by some of the issues that we're faced. I compliment you, Mike, and all of the planning committee for putting that forum together.
Oh, thank you. It's a group effort.
We had, I'd say, a couple of hundred people. I don't want to say exactly how many because I don't want the fire chief to have found out.
The
but
room was full.
There were a lot of people.
The room was full.
And the room was definitely full. But one of the things that came out of it, one of the things our residents are properly asking is, we need a little bit more guidance, if you can give it to us. What are we supposed to do if, and things like that. And certainly we have talked about updating the policy statement.
Right.
It's amazing, we issued that statement or adopted that statement in July, and it was very relevant at the time. And now 6-7 months later, such has happened that policy is almost irrelevant.
Dynamic situation.
Yeah, it really is. So, and that's certainly something the Select Board will be taking a very hard look at it. I think at our next board meeting. So, now we can go to last night's meeting. Okay. We'd already discussed a big issue, which was those. The operating budget and allocation. But we had a very good discussion from Farming Falmouth, a great organization here doing a lot of great work. They have a series of community forums. Vice Chair Goldstone, myself, and Representative Tom Moakley were at the first one a couple of weeks ago. There were 40, 50, 60 people there. Very passionate about the need to preserve and improve, and to the extent improve and develop opportunities for farming here in Falmouth. So we had a really good presentation from them.
We did.
And there will be another series of presentations. I think they have 3 more scheduled, and then there will be a gathering of all that came out of the forum sessions and have a bigger presentation.
The biggest takeaway, Bob, and it was a great presentation, the slide that showed the 1950s, the amount of acreage, right, that was being farmed in the 1950s, and folks that grew up here can relate, and compared to what it is now, and how that has just significantly dropped off.
Yeah, I think it was like 3,600, and now it's 400.
Yes, it was incredible.
And change.
Yeah,
so
that was impactful. When I saw that, I had no idea the decrease had been that dramatic.
They're making a very good point that we need to be careful about not losing our farmland. We also were dealt with a request from the Falmouth Housing Trust, a wonderful organization here in town that does affordable housing, mostly single-family housing that they buy, develop, and build. The recent development on Wacoit Highway, they built from scratch. But the one they came to us with last night was the property on Cross Road, 28 Cross Road.
Correct. Also in Wacoit.
Yeah, and you know, what was great about this project and was that it was ready to go. And so they asked for $175,000 from the Affordable Housing Fund, which the Select Board is the trustees of. So you want to talk a little bit about
I sure do.
that, Mike?
I sure do. What a great project. A really, really cute move-in ready home, about 950 square feet, I believe, 3-bedroom. Great project. And the great thing about these types of projects, Bob, as you know, and we talked about it last night, and the Falmouth Housing Trust does a fabulous job, and I think it was the 5th or 6th example of this, where they purchase a house at a reduced price, utilizing the funds from the Affordable Housing Fund, and then sell it back. 140% of the area median income, this particular property was kind of targeted for, which is that missing middle, I think is the term that Laura Moynihan refers to it as, which was a kind of a goal of the Select Board to provide attainable housing opportunities for that segment of the population. What's really special about these projects is that it doesn't involve clear cutting, land disturbance. It's a home it's already constructed, obviously, and ready to go.
Yeah,
so
they don't have to wait, you know, a year and a half
correct.
to permit
Move in
it,
ready.
clear it, and ready to go.
Meets an immediate need.
The more that they can do with this kind of a model, I tell you, it will go a great lengths to helping families, you know, be able to move into Falmouth at that 140% AMI or you know, or a little less. It really is a wonderful model, and I hope they can do more of those, to be honest with you. So we also had a couple of updates. One was from the Police Station Siting Advisory Board. Boyd DeMello, former fire inspector, now retired,
right.
has done a wonderful job. Chair of that committee, chair of the fire station committee before that. So, you know, as everyone I think knows, we were originally looking at 484 Brick Hill, and we have now landed on and decided upon 100 Brick Hill.
The Augusta property.
Yeah, what has always been referred to as the Augusta property. Tell us a little bit about that update and where we're headed with that.
Sure. So the purpose of last night's presentation by the Police Station Advisory Committee, the Siting Committee, was to present to the Select Board a couple of conceptual design site fits, looking at the concept design of the facility, all 48,000 square foot of it, roughly, and how it would fit. A couple of different iterations or scenarios, models, how it would fit on that site. And as you know, and some of the viewers know, we also on that same site are constructing or about to start constructing a lift station for the wastewater system. So we're trying to coordinate the construction activities of the lift station in addition to planning to construct the police facility on the site. A lot of great conversations back and forth. The architect, Tecton, is attempting to reduce the footprint of the parking lot, the impervious surface of the parking lot, and really striving to create more shared parking space to accommodate both visitors to the police station, personnel using the station also, and recreational uses on the back side of the property, because additional recreational uses may be put in place down the road on the back side of the property. And providing access, I think, off of State Route 28 is going to be really significant as well, and that's part of the plan too. So.
Well, I was really impressed with the timetable that they discussed last night with respect to community meetings, engagement, and so forth. Want to talk a little bit about
I do, and I don't have the exact dates in mind.
The dates, right.
But there's been, and I credit Assistant Town Manager Johnson Staub for this, because he's really focused and put an emphasis on, number one, getting in front of the Select Board in increments, right, rather than waiting until you know the project is too far down the road. So that's part of it, but also community engagement and participation, taking it out into the community. And they have a couple of meetings already scheduled, a larger meeting, and then specifically, and I think this is really important, a meeting with just abutters within, I think it's 300 or 400 feet. So we're going to send out mailers to the abutters and have a meeting just designated for abutters to have those conversations with the abutters to talk about those impacts.
Yep. The issue of further meetings is very important. I just kind of lost my train of thought there for a moment, but we also had an update on the Bourne's Pond.
Yes.
There's been a lot of questions, concerns from a number of residents as to why this is taking so long. What can we do, we being the select board, people, what can we do to try and move this forward?
Such an important project, and I believe it was 2017, 2000, maybe even earlier.
Even earlier, possibly.
There was originally projected and permitted. Well, we made application, I think, back in 2014 or 15. The permitting was stuck in review in U.S. Army Corps of Engineer for a long time, unfortunately. That was the first major obstacle. That took literally years. Right now, we've learned that it's currently under, because of the delay, Mass DEP required some additional scouring plans to be submitted. We did that a couple of years ago, and unfortunately, it's mired right now in that in the bridge office of the Mass DOT review. So we were able to. I'm hopeful, based upon some discussions we had last week with the Lieutenant Governor. We're hopeful to have perhaps a foot in the door, so to speak, with the Boston Office of Bridges to hopefully get that review expedited and completed so that we can go out to bid on the project. And
it was really very impressive to hear Mr. McConerty speak about how he intended or how he thought we could still, this far along, and this, it's taken so long, and the construction costs have increased so much. But his plan, along with, I think, Amy and some of the way they were able to save some money on the Long Pond, that we will be able, there's a good chance that we'll be able to bring this project together once we get everything approved, at the same price, as opposed to having to, which was a concern that we would prefer not to have to go back to town meeting to get some extra money.
Correct, provided we don't have any other significant delay. Mr. McConerty is confident that we can, with the existing funds, and postponing or pushing, I should say, some of the beach nourishment portion and focusing on the inlet and the bridge. He's confident that we'll have enough funds to do the project. But you're right, it's the cost has more than doubled over the years. Gone from $4 million project to over an $11 million project. So, but we're confident if there's not more significant delay, we can push this thing through and get it across the goal line.
That's great. If anyone can do it, Mr. McConerty can figure it out.
I believe that's true.
And I now remember what it was I wanted to mention about the police station is that there will be a meeting this Monday evening at the Herman Room at the public library from 6 o'clock until 7:30 or 8 p.m. So that'll be the first time that the public, well, in addition to last night, will see the plans, the options, and where we're heading with that. So.
And really encouraging people to turn out to that meeting. Thank you for bringing that date up at the library Herman Room, because we're really encouraging people to provide input and kind of give us their thoughts about the site layout and how we're configuring the building. It's important.
All right, and let's just see where we are. So the YMCA came to us. We all know what a wonderful project this is. And we also know how difficult it is to get all the funding necessary for such a good project. They've had wonderful support from the community, Don and Dottie Smith and that family, and what they came up with and contributed. But they have some costs that they would be incurring in permit fees. And the town has a policy with respect to waivers of permit fees for nonprofits that are, building permits and other subcontractor type fees. Want to talk a little bit about where we are with that?
Sure, and that select board policy with regards to waiver of fees, for those types of nonprofits projects that create substantial public benefit, and no one can say that this project would not create that public benefit. So Stacy Pugh has done just a fantastic job, as we all know, marshaling this project forward. A couple of weeks ago, she submitted a request through Select Board office to waive. Initially, they were looking at all of the fees associated with construction and permit inspections and whatnot. The most recent request was just specifically focused on building permit fee waiver, and that amount was about $169,000. Select Board heard the request, kind of a first review of the request last night. We're going to bring that back on the February 9th agenda, hopefully for a decision. I had discussion with the board about obviously, financial constraints, budgetary constraints, and the impact, just so everyone's aware of the loss of those revenues if the entire amount was waived. So right now, the decision that's being asked of the board is to consider waiver of the entire $169,000 or some portion of that.
And we did speak with Stacy last night, and she was certainly willing to discuss it as well. I think she understands that as important it is for her to move this project along. It's also important that the town do what it needs to do fiscally and responsibly, and I'm sure we'll come to some kind of
it was a great dialogue, great discussion.
A good decision there. And then finally, over the past couple of years, town meeting has approved 4 different matters, if you will, or actions that need to be addressed by a special act of the legislature. Town Council Maura O'Keefe was there last night, and she gave us a kind of an update on the 4 petitions that need to go up to the State House, and we're hopeful that they will be adopted, passed. The first one, in no necessary order, to form a licensing commission, which had been approved by town meeting some time ago. The other one was, and this is a big one, for the town clerk, and to change the town clerk position from an elected position to an appointed position. We have been very lucky to have our current town clerk, Michael Palmer, has been consistently elected, often, if not always, without any opposition. But when Michael decided that he felt it was time to start winding down, we started with this thought that rather than making an elected position, that it would be something that would be appointed. So we're certainly hoping that the legislature will go along with that petition. And then there was also a petition with respect to grinder pumps.
Correct.
And again, this is another big one, Mike, and this is a kind of a dollars and cents issue, so let's talk a little bit about that one.
Sure. So we did something similar. Select Board did something similar with the Long Pond Sewering project, where we requested the ability to utilize public funds, taxpayer funds, to offset or cover the cost of these grinder pumps, the low pressure pumps that basically connect from the house and then feed into the collection system. And what this petition would do would be to allow, through the special act, the town of Falmouth to utilize public funds to cover the cost of these pumps.
State law prevents the town from spending money to improve private property.
Correct.
So in order to get over that prohibition, we need a special act of the legislature. We're hoping that they'll do what they did back in with respect with respect to the prior application, and looking forward, we've worded it so that we wouldn't have to come back again for a different project.
That is
so this would cover the current project as well as any other sewering projects that we might be looking at in the future. And then last but not least, had to do with exempting us from the procurement laws and responsibilities with respect to our proposed working with the owners of the Cape Cod Country Club, so that we're able to more easily come to an understanding, protection for the town with respect to decommissioning, bonds, and all of these other very important points that have been raised by a number of the concerned residents in town. So hopefully that'll move forward as well, and we can get that project going. It's you know, it's an important project for the town. So
all four of those are very important. Hopefully they do go through quickly.
So so I think that's going to conclude our discussion this evening. Thank you again for listening, for watching. Thanks again to FCTV, Tony and Kurt here in particular for making us look good. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.